American Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem doing the countdown on AT40. From Bloomington, Indiana, here's newcomer John Mellencamp billing himself as John Cougar, debuting at number 39 with his first chart single, John Cougar and I Need a Lover. John Cougar at number 39 with a debut song called I Need a Lover.
American Top 40.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood, and now I have the song by the man who was blackmailed into dropping his real name and using the stage name that he records under. That's the story we got straight from John Cougar. Or is it John Mellencamp? Well, Mellencamp is his real name, and Cougar is his professional name. But it's a name he didn't want, says John, a name that was given to him in an offer he couldn't refuse. A few years ago, from his home base of Bloomington, Indiana, John sent some demo tapes to a few carefully chosen artists' managers, among them Tony DeFries in New York City. Well, Tony liked John's tape, flew him into New York, offered him a management contract, and then gave him $6,000 and told him to go home and record some more songs, which John Mellencamp did, happily, while his new manager made a deal with MCA Records to release John's first album. Then, when it came time to lock the deal up, John told us, his manager, Tony DeFries, asked him to change his name from Mellencamp because it wasn't commercial. Tony wanted John to take the name Cougar. John said no. Mellencamp was a perfectly good name. Then, according to John, Tony said, "If you don't take the name John Cougar, this record will not come out." Mellencamp stormed out in a rage. He said for 2 or 3 days he really stewed. Then, finally, he decided, what the heck? It's only a stage name like the Beatles or Rolling Stones. And so John Mellencamp, faced with a take-it-or-leave-it proposition, became John Cougar. Well, he got no hits from that album, but it gave him the start that led to his first top 40 hit. That song was called I Need a Lover, and it hit a year ago. This week, John Cougar is back in the countdown at number 34 with This Time. John Cougar at number 34, moving up 5 notches, second week on the chart with This Time. 33 big hits to number 1 and counting them down.
Casey's Coast to Coast.
Well, now we're up to the number 1 song in the USA. And it's by a rock star who may have set an odd kind of record recently. What he did was to play 2 concerts in one day, which wouldn't have been odd at all, except that the concerts were 1,100 miles apart. Here's the story. Several months ago, John Cougar was signed to headline an evening show on the Labor Day weekend in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Then, just a few weeks before that show, he was offered a chance and a lot of money to open for Fleetwood Mac on the same date at an afternoon show at the Tangerine Bowl in Orlando, Florida. At first, it seemed impossible. But when John sat down with his road manager and figured out the logistics of it all, it seemed to them that with a little bit of luck, they'd be able to play in both Florida and Michigan on the same day. The way it worked out was that John and his band played at the Tangerine Bowl from 3 until 4:15 in the afternoon. Then they hopped in a waiting helicopter, flew to the local airport where a private Learjet was warming up, made a 2.5-hour flight to Michigan, got into another helicopter, and arrived at their Kalamazoo concert with time to spare. After it was all over, John Cougar's exhausted comment was, "Is this what they call life in the fast lane?" John's also been spending time in the fast lane on the pop chart recently. His song Hurt So Good hit number 2, and the follow-up, It's Even Bigger. For the second week in a row, the most popular song in the land is by John Cougar. Number 1 is Jack and Diane. The number 1 song in the USA for the second consecutive week. John Cougar's Jack and Diane.
American Top 40. Top 40.
AT40 originates in Hollywood. Now we're up to the man who says he was almost dropped by his record company after they heard his last album. It was more than 2 years ago that this rocker from Indiana had completed the album called American Fool. And when he turned it over to his record label, Polygram, he said he thought it was some of the best work that he'd ever done. but he told us the company didn't agree. They said there were no hit songs on the album, and it would absolutely ruin this man's career. The executives even considered dropping this artist from their label. However, Polygram went ahead and released American Fool, but without any fanfare. And here's what happened. The first single from the album, Hurt So Good, went to number 2. The follow-up, Jack and Diane, became a number 1 smash. And a third single, Hand to Hold On To, reached number 19. So much for an album the experts said didn't have any hits. And an album that also went to number 1 on the album chart and stayed there for 9 weeks. The album American Fool by John Cougar Mellencamp. John says that today he doesn't hold a grudge against the people who didn't think much of his album. He says, quote, "Some of the people who badmouth the record and are decent individuals have since come forth and said, I didn't think the record had a shot, but I was wrong. I respect people who own up to that. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it." End of quote by John Cougar Mellencamp. Ironically, in the current hit from his album, John sings, "I fight authority and authority always wins." But in this case, the case of American Fool, it was John Cougar Mellencamp who came out on top. At number 16 this week on American Top 40, here's the Authority song. John Cougar Mellencamp, born, raised, and now living in the state of Indiana. He's at number 16 again this week, 6th week in the countdown with the Authority song. This next song is the only hit in our special survey that didn't hit number 1. In 1982, it hit number 2 and spent enough weeks on the chart to make it as one of the decade's top songs. But the singer's record company didn't really think much of this song at first, and John Cougar Mellencamp thought that was pretty funny.
When they heard Hurt So Good, it was like, this is horrible. I hate this, we don't like this. I think they thought I was going to evolve into... I think Polygram really did not have any idea what I was about. Because they really weren't interested, I wasn't selling records. Matter of fact, they considered dropping me off the label at that point.
Well, John Mellencamp had the last laugh. His album, American Fool, hit number 1. And that song the record company didn't think much of became the biggest hit of his career. At number 39, here's Hurt So Good. Sometimes love don't feel like it should. Hurt So Good. John Cougar Mellencamp and the 39th biggest hit so far in the 1980s.
American Top 40.
For Casey Kasem, I'm Charlie Van Dyke. These are the hits ranked by Billboard magazine. Now, we're up to the song whose video is very unusual. Not because it was shot using the latest in high technology. No, it's just the opposite. Unlike many of today's high-budget videos, it wasn't shot using big sets or elaborate special effects. In fact, most of the footage is about 20 years old. It's the latest video from John Cougar Mellencamp, and it was made with old home movies. Here's how the whole thing splices together. Last summer, John's new album, The Lonesome Jubilee, was just about due for release. And John was trying to come up with a creative concept to capture the feeling in the song Cherry Bomb. It's a song of memories, a nostalgic look at growing up in a small town in the 60s. And John hit on the home movies idea, the perfect way to present images that would flash by like memories do in your mind. But where do you find these great old movies? Well, John placed a few ads in some local papers around his hometown of Seymour, Indiana. And in a few weeks, he had thousands of feet of 8mm home movie footage. He set up a projector and watched every reel. The old movies were silent, some in black and white, most in a kind of eerie, faded color. As John watched, people he hadn't seen for years would float by, suspended in time. Every time he'd happen to see an old buddy or an old girlfriend, he'd rewind and replay those bits. He even, for a fleeting moment, saw his mom in the background of one shot. Well, John chose the clips he wanted, and the video for Cherry Bomb was made. And if you've seen the video, it really does give you kind of a feeling of nostalgia of a whole different era. Here in the countdown, John Mellencamp's taking his musical trip down memory lane to number 8 last week. Now it falls to number 12. John Cougar Mellencamp and Cherry Bomb. Cherry Bomb. That's John Cougar Mellencamp talking about hanging out at the old club Cherry Bomb in the late 60s.
American Top 40.
Now we're up to a top rocker who got his first break thanks to a contest. A supermarket contest. That's how John Cougar Mellencamp launched his career. Story begins 12 years ago. John had finished college in Indiana. He and his young wife Priscilla and their baby daughter all moved in with her parents, living in Seymour, Indiana. John says it was a great life. His wife would go to work every morning, and he'd sleep till noon, then spend the rest of the day just kicking around. But as John told writer Mark Rowland, her parents finally kicked us out. To do us a favor, they said, so we'd support ourselves. So John and Priscilla and their baby daughter moved into a cheap room over a garage. John went to work, writing songs, that is. His plan was to fly to New York City and cut a demo. Only problem was, he was flat broke. Then his songwriting partner, George Green, got an idea. George had a job with a bakery delivering bread to all the markets in the area. At the time, one of the chain stores was having one of those scratch-off and win contests. And every time George delivered a load of bread, he'd pick up a bunch of free contest cards from friendly cashiers. He collected hundreds. John says every card was a potential winner. All you had to do to win $2,000 was scratch off the right letter combination on a card. We figured with enough cards, we could crack the code. End of quote. Well, a week later, John got a phone call. It was his songwriting buddy, George Green. John, you're about to receive $2,000. George had done it. He'd cracked the code. And John was on his way to New York City and the start of his career. His friend George says, I've always looked for another contest like that one, but I never found one. But George is content now to still co-write songs with John. At number 21, here's one that John wrote by himself, for himself. His latest hit, check it out. Future generations riding on the highways that we built, I hope they have a better understanding. John Mellencamp and Check It Out, up 3 notches to number 21. It's the third hit from his album, The Lonesome Jubilee.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. These are the most popular songs in the USA. Well, now we're up to the latest hit for a rocker who sold out Carnegie Hall by word of mouth alone. It was 4 years ago that John Mellencamp announced that he was through with the road. He was nearly 40 years old and he wanted to make a change in his career. He wanted to become a painter. Not someone who paints houses, but someone who paints pictures. Though he said he'd still write songs and record them in the studio, he was through with all the hassles of going on tour. So he built an artist studio in his barn in Indiana and started painting. And that seemed to be that for John Mellencamp. But as the years went by, John began to miss the road. He missed the excitement, and so he made plans to return. He put together an album called Whenever We Want It, and he made plans to debut that album in a very special way. He was going to make his return on the stage of New York's prestigious Carnegie Hall, and he was going to do it at the last minute as a big surprise. His concert was scheduled for the evening of September 16th, 1991, but it wasn't announced until 12 noon of that very day. All that happened was that a sign went up in front of Carnegie Hall declaring, "Tonight at 8, John Mellencamp." Well, it didn't take long before several of John's fans who were walking by saw that sign. They called other fans who called other fans, and word reached the local New York City rock stations, and they announced the surprise concert on the air. By the time John Mellencamp went on stage that night, 8 hours later, Carnegie Hall was packed, and John's performing career was back on track. This week, John's playing to a packed house on Casey's Top 40 as his latest single climbed 6 notches to number 30. Here's John Mellencamp with the second hit off his Whenever We Wanted CD, Again Tonight. Moving up from 36 to 30, that's the pride of Seymour, Indiana, John Mellencamp, and Again Tonight.
Casey's Top 40.
I'm Casey Kasem. Rolling in at number 73 on our Top 100 is John Mellencamp, a rock and roll star who takes the title of his last CD, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, to heart. He's happily married to model Elaine Irwin, and the couple have 2 young twin sons. And these days, he's leading a healthier lifestyle after suffering a heart attack in 1994. But he says he can't seem to kick the smoking habit, though he's cut down from 4 packs a day to less than 1. Here's John Mellencamp with Just Another Day. Rock and roll veteran John Mellencamp with his 23rd Top 40 hit, Just Another Day. On our year-end survey, the song comes in at number 73.
Counting